Probably from Forrest. Can you guys raise your hand if this is your first time here? That is thinking awesome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So 1 Million Cups does this every single week, Wednesdays, 9 a.m., right here in the Center for Creativity, TCC. And we are a group of entrepreneurs that throw on a education and community-based event for other entrepreneurs. So what you have is two startups, generally one or two, present their idea and their startup for 6 minutes. And then we as a community get 20 minutes worth of questions and feedback to really hone in and really bolster and help provide feedback for different startups. So we're going to get started immediately. We have some announcements later on, but without further ado, I have a really great presenter coming up. I'm super excited. You've actually probably seen him before. You guys are probably very familiar with him. His name is Forrest Hull, and he has a company named Digerati. He has a lot of exciting things happening, not the least of which a really exciting app that just came out in the Apple iStore. So without further ado, Forrest Hull.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Forrest Hull, and I'm here to talk about my new tech company, Digerati. But before I get into that, I want to talk a little bit about kind of my story and specifically why I'm here talking about entrepreneurship, and especially at such a young age. So from a very young age, about 9 or 10, I'd always been very fascinated by entrepreneurship, business, finance, big business, regardless as to whether or not I knew what either of those or any of those terms meant. So, like many others, I got my start in mowing lawns when I was about 9 or 10, and I worked and toiled through the summer heat, and as soon as I started doing that, I wanted to expand, and I wanted to get new customers, and I wanted to expand to foreign markets like other neighborhoods. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed making my own money. And then, when I was about 12 or 13, I learned how to weld. My dad taught me how to weld. And when I learned how to weld, I started making handcrafted metalworks in my garage that I started selling to people at school and people at my church. And when I started doing this, I really enjoyed the process of creating a product, refining it, and seeing someone's face light up when you gave them your product and when they bought it from you. And that company actually still exists today in a form called Forward Designs, and we sell online and then also in a retail outlet in downtown Jinx. And then when I was about 14 or 15, I started investing in the stock market. I kind of taught myself over a summer how to learn how to do it and read a bunch of financial articles and kind of got up to date with the jargon, and in my first year turned my initial investment a 15% return on it in the first year. So obviously, I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship and business. So naturally, I draw to and look up to people like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, and Steve Jobs. And ironically, the majority of the time, more often than not, when I was mowing lawns or I was working in the garage when I was younger, I was always working to earn money to buy products from a very certain company, and that was Apple. And I loved Apple, and I loved how whenever you bought one of their products, they had a paradigm, they held the paradigm on beautiful design. And whenever you held one of their devices, it was like you were holding the future in your hand. So how does this all work in to Digerati? So fast forward about 2 years or so, or several years, and I was a freshman in high school, and I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about a 3D computer game that we both liked, which is saying a lot because neither of us really liked playing video games. And we were talking about it, and naturally, because I was into Apple and stuff, I was like, well, surely there's an app for this, because this is around the time where Angry Birds is becoming very successful and gaining all sorts of popularity. And so I went on the App Store and found out that there was nothing. There was nothing that even resembled it. So instantly the entrepreneurial mind kicked in. And I thought, well, whoever creates this will surely be successful with it, because this game already has a following, it's a great game, stuff like that. So I decided I'll do it. With no coding experience or programming experience or anything like that, I bought a couple books that were supposed to teach you how to write code, and learned very quickly that buying a book teaching you how to program is like buying a book teaching you how to read. And fast forward about 3 years later, I was still not really getting it. But eventually I did. I struggled for a very long time, and I finally got it. And around this time, the end of my junior year in high school, I got my Apple developer's license from Apple, which means you can distribute apps under their name and, earn profit from it. And also around this time, I attended my very first 1 Million Cups. So I go to 1 Million Cups and people are saying, what do you do? And I'd say, well, I'm developing an app, I do this jewelry business thing, and I invest in the stock market, and that's great. But the more and more time that I spent around these entrepreneurs, many very much like yourself, I started to realize, well, maybe I can build something a little bit bigger than just an app. What if instead of creating an app, I could create an app company? And then it grew into something like, well, maybe I can solve problems with this. Maybe I could solve a problem with it. Maybe I could create lasting infrastructure that could last my entire lifetime and that I was very passionate about. So I came up with the idea of Digerati. Now, Digerati is a two-part company. First of all, we create apps, like this one, which I'm about to talk about, and the app that I had the idea for freshman year, commercial apps that we sell, we get money off of. And then also, I saw a need in the entrepreneurial community for low-cost development, Apple development, and app development. So I figured, well, how do we solve this problem? Well, I offer iOS development, my services, for an extremely low price, about half market price, in exchange for a royalty on the top of every time an entrepreneur's app is purchased. So people with very low capital but very high entrepreneurial drive, just like I was, get this amazing solution that they can implement in their company. So that's the client side. The commercial side, this app, is an app called Transportal. And today, along with Digerati as a company, I launched this app at about 2 a.m. last night. It's on the App Store right now. You can download it. It's very fun, in my opinion. I think it's a great idea. There's QR codes in the back if you want to, excuse me. There are QR codes in the back if you want to snap it and download it if you want. But anyways, so that is Digerati, that's Transportal, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
All right, do we have any questions? Right here in the front.
First off, I love the story and hearing your entrepreneurial background. Going forward, you have an app that you just launched this morning at 2 a.m. And you have this division that you're looking at acquiring potentially opportunities for creating new on the iOS platform. What are your next steps as a company and as a software developer that you're looking at doing to further your entrepreneurial story?
Well, obviously this is at the forefront of my mind. This is the thing that I spend 36 hours a day thinking about and working on. But obviously a large portion of people in the audience probably own Androids. I see someone on it now, Dave. So obviously I would like to break into the Android market. Also, I'm a huge fan of Apple. I hope I made that pretty obvious. They have several other facets of revenue, you could call it. So I'm not looking to just, in the future, stick into this one niche market. I could definitely see it expanding into different kinds of software, maybe even hardware in the far-fetched future. So opportunities are very open.
Okay, question over here.
Can you talk a little bit about how you're going to keep your edge within your development market, like versus other developers and other development firms?
Absolutely. So the biggest thing, it's hard, everyone says, and this goes for any marketplace, whether it's creating apps, whether it's providing law service or being an engineer, everyone says we pride ourselves in the highest quality, da-da-da-da. Well, when we create an app for a client, we, first of all, understand their story, because the type of clientele that I want to represent and create an app for, is entrepreneurial, and it's not someone who just says, oh, I kind of want to do this on the side, I'll give you X amount of dollars, create an app, and we'll see if it goes somewhere. We want people with drive and passion, and we would reject people or not take their business who do not display an entrepreneurial ability or entrepreneurial passion. But beyond that, in exchange for our low-cost development, we get a royalty on top of every time someone buys their app. So it would be detrimental to my revenue stream and my money in my pocket if I made something low quality, because the higher quality I make the app, the more money I get.
Question over here in the back.
Yeah, I have to agree. Your drive is quite incredible. At 17 years old, I was not thinking about starting a business. What do you consider your real challenges to grow going forward? I'd imagine if it's just yourself, it might be hard once you reach a certain capacity to take on additional clients. Do you consider that a risk, or what would you consider your very real risk growing?
Well, there's good things and bad things on the horizon, or on my horizon right now. A couple bad things. I am about to embark on an endeavor that will take several hours out of my day called college, and I'm about to go to that and take part in classes which will require studying time and stuff, and it creates a challenge to, first of all, get clients, but also convince them that they're priority, because no one wants to be put on the back burner, period. So that's one big challenge. The good thing is I'm going to college where there's a bunch of kids who are on ramen diets and need cash, and they are very smart and very bright. A lot of programmers, a lot of graphic designers who I can work with for low cost in the startup phases to create good products and expand and do stuff like that. Also, I'm fortunate enough to work in an environment, a market that is very low capital entry. I'm 17 years old. I created an app, launched it along with a company, and I have a Mac Mini in an upstairs office. It's very low capital entry, so I can do big things with potential or huge potential returns with low capital. So there's pros and cons, but that's what makes business fun.
Question here in the middle.
Hi, Forrest.
Hello, Zach.
So I heard your answers to the questions, but I still don't know what makes your company any different than a lot of other app development companies. What is unique about you or your company as opposed to other app development companies? The idea of taking a piece of somebody's product after you develop it is not new. So that's my first question, is what makes you different, again. And secondly, have you developed any apps for other, like on the commercial side? Has that happened, and would we be able to download them?
I have not developed any other commercial apps. The big question that I get oftentimes and on your podcast is, have you created apps in other facets like utilities and entertainment and stuff like that? Because there's a lot of entrepreneurs who need apps like that. And the short answer to that is no, but anyone in this room who's an entrepreneur, including potential clients, will understand that you have to start somewhere. And I plan to work very hard to create a portfolio of projects that will give my name more credit. As far as making my company different, the biggest differentiation point is the essentially half-priced upfront cost. So you are an entrepreneur, along with a lot of people in this room, understand that in the startup phases, pennies are tight. You're pinching pennies, and it's crazy how thrifty you have to learn how to be. And to have a full-blown app developed for you at very high quality for half of the running market rate, whatever it may be for that app, it's a huge advantage. And a lot of firms are not able to offer that. And as a startup, and also as a young person who has a roof over my head, I'm able to offer that low price and kind of gain a competitive edge that way.
Hey, question right over here. Can you talk about how your team is structured while you'll be in college, how your team is structured and how you guys will execute on any new business that you guys will get during that time?
Well, right now, my team consists of me and some outsourced designers, so they don't really count, so it's me. As far as structure goes, my work times will be whenever I have free time and also when I don't have free time. And that's part of a challenge. I've not been to college before, and I've also not been to college with a business. So that'll be definitely an interesting experience, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to be successful in it.
Question out here in the back.
So pretty timely, because Antuna and I were recently talking to a professor out of Arkansas that teaches entrepreneurship, and he said the unspoken rule for an entrepreneurial person going through college is to not graduate because they find something to do over there. So what are you hoping to glean from college that's going to help you apply that to Digerati and some of your other ventures, and kind of what's your long-term game plan with that?
Well, the college question is a question I get all the time. Specifically, why am I deciding to go to college? And yes, there are several companies such as Facebook and I think Google and Apple and all kinds of semi-successful companies that their owners and their CEOs or their head entrepreneurs, whatever, didn't graduate, dropped out, did whatever. But I don't want to bank my success on something like that. Personally, I believe that success is the marriage of opportunity and preparation. And I think when you spend time and you get practical knowledge like I have for the past 2 or 3 years, coming to places like this and learning from people just like you, when I mix that with some solid book knowledge and tried and true methods of being successful, I think I definitely opened my range of possible success.
Question over here in the back.
How are you marketing yourself besides this?
Well, this is a great way to do it. One way, I'm going to several 1 million cups in surrounding cities over the next few weeks. I'll be in San Antonio on the 5th and maybe Springfield next week, doing this kind of thing. Word of mouth, telling people my story, trying to appeal to people's hearts and minds and get them to just buy into the idea of the company. Also, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of these links, check it out. As far as Transportal, the app, there are a few promotional people, people who are experts at kind of working with Apple's algorithm and stuff like that, who I've paid to kind of work with the rankings in that way. It's the first time I've done it, so we'll see how it pans out. But definitely that way, and then also just going to events like this and being a solidified member and doing stuff like that. But I will say that this market is something that I'm not 100% sure how to market in, or I guess promote in, stuff like that. And if anyone has any advice, anyone has any experience in the tech space, I would be very happy to listen, buy you coffee, do whatever it takes. So anyways.
All right, question back here.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the brand of Digerati? Not what sets you apart necessarily in the pricing structure, but who the company is as a brand, what its values are, and that's the end of my question.
That's the end of a very difficult question. But a lot of that can be found at forresthull.com, www.forresthull.com, if you'd like to check that out. Now, as far as branding goes, we've chosen orange, and I really enjoy orange. Go Pokes. Any Pokes in the room? Woo! All right, -1. Okay, so as far as the brand goes, because I'm the only employee right now, my personal brand is hard work, dedication, faith, consistency, and hard work. Outperforming the competition and holding a high standard of excellence and high quality production.
Very good question here in the back.
So do you only do games, or do you do, since your model's based on doing half and then getting paid on the backside based on the sales, do you do apps for businesses as well?
Absolutely.
Where they're maybe really just used internally or?
Absolutely. If you're referring to enterprise apps, I would absolutely be willing to do something like that. Like I said at the beginning, I do not have a huge portfolio of created apps, but that's part of the beginner's grind. I have to build that portfolio, but I have several ideas for utilities, entertainment, stuff like that, apps that I will put out hopefully very soon, and then also gain clients in the various different niches of the App Store and the mobile phone market that I can build that portfolio. So to answer your question, yes, definitely. I'm not interested in becoming an exclusively game, exclusively entertainment, exclusively utility, whatever like that. I would definitely want to be diverse in what I can create.
Question here in the front.
So as a software developer, my one of the most exciting days was the first day I launched, that day where you actually flip the switch and people can pay you money or it's all available for the world to see. Tell me about your game. Since it launched this morning at 2 a.m., tell me what you're excited about. Show me the game, and I want to hear more about it. Why should I download it? What's fun? What was the thing that was missing from the App Store for you when you were looking for this game? Yeah, I want to hear about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, that's great you're a software developer and you understand the terrifying cliff of releasing something to the world. And after downloading it this morning, I realized that there are glitches here and there. By no means takes away value from the app. Feel free to go ahead and go download that. But some stuff that I will be changing in future updates and stuff like that. So if you've ever heard of the game Portal, which I think any under 20s, okay too, have maybe heard of the game. It's a really unique three-dimensional game where you walk around in a three-dimensional world with something called a portal gun. And what a portal gun does is it creates two kind of gateways that are connected through time and space, or whatever you want to call it. So basically what that means is if I were to put one portal over there and then one portal over there, if I put my hand in this portal, it would come out the other one like that. You get what I'm saying? Does everyone get it? Yes. Okay. So that was a three-dimensional game when I found it and when I played it, and there's not a two-dimensional adaptation. So I thought, heck, this is great, because three-dimensional games kind of work on iOS, but a lot of times they're very heavy graphically and they don't look good unless very, very, very well done. So naturally, I was like, well, let's just do it in 2 dimensions, and these are some screenshots from the game. And I think it turned out very well. I'm very excited about it. Well, there's QR codes at the back if you want to download the app at any point in the presentation. But so as you can see, I think I have a red dot thing here. Yeah, okay. So as you can see, this is you. This is the player. And when you tap somewhere on the walls in front of you, a blue portal happens. And then when you tap again somewhere on the wall, a yellow portal happens. And when you go through the blue one, you come out the yellow one. And you use this concept as seen, I guess there's no portals on that one, but as seen here, to navigate through obstacles and such and complete the level.
Question here in the front.
Oh.
I have probably about 2.5 questions here, but have you considered client service networking type apps such as Uber or uship.com? Because I've looked at the margins they take on those sorts of jobs, and that would far exceed maybe potentials on royalties. Second, have you done work with integrating an app with an active website? So let's say you post a job or you look for a service online, but it integrates with a network on an app. And third, or second and a half, I guess, but your royalty model, do you just do it on the initial cost of the app, or are you willing to look at in-app purchases as the life of the app progresses?
Depending on the deal, it would be either point of purchase or in-app deals. One of the 2 models, because that's something that's very popular is in-app purchases, because there's been a wide amount of success with that. Your other question would be, do you integrate with websites? Short answer, no, because I don't know website design. I mean, I do, but I don't know it expertly, and I want it to be a quality product, and I don't want my name on anything that isn't perfect. So, as far as integrating with webs, I would say no. That's not really something that I'm looking into right now. And then, what was your other question? I'm sorry.
About the Uber or U-Ship.
Oh, okay. So that technology and that concept of just having a bunch of regular people pick it up and do that, I love it. I think that's fantastic. And I think that I was in Mexico the other week, and there's no Uber or anything there. I'm like, man, if anyone has some, several $1 million in capital laying around, Mexico. But anyways, that's something that I can't tackle right now because my team's not big enough and I can't handle it. And it goes back to the same thing. If it's not good enough, I don't want to produce it. But as far as in maybe the little bit more distant future, it's something that I'm very interested in, and I would love to have the opportunity to work on something like that.
Okay, question over here.
What programming languages do you have experience in?
Transportal is written in C# and JavaScript. It's pushed through Apple's developer SDK, software development kit called Xcode, which is technically Objective-C, but it is written, and I'm like proficient in C# and JavaScript.
Question here in the front.
How long did it take you to create Transportal?
Well, Transportal took a long time because I was essentially teaching myself how to do all this stuff and learning a new software development kit, and then also building the concept and the infrastructure of the business around it and my personal brand. It took probably close to a year, about a year from start to finish, maybe a little less, to really from the actual start of it and to the end. So, yeah, about that amount of time.
Okay, question right over here.
I just bought the app. Looks
Thank
good.
you.
I'm excited. How did you decide on 99 cents? And how do you decide that you're going to be half price? What made you settle on half price? And what is that for me to get an app developed? Does that mean, is that variable based on the project? So I want to know pricing from both sides, pricing for the app and pricing for your app company.
It does vary on the project. Now, if you go online and you do some research, the mean kind of like if you're a startup and you're creating an app, the average cost that they kind of give you is around $7,000 to $8,000. Some places will say much higher. Some places will say or not really much lower, but it's about $7,000 or $8,000. So half of that would be about $4,000. And then what was your other question? I'm sorry. Oh, 99 cents. So I was starting at $2, but I went to 99 cents simply because one of the promotional, companies that I worked with said that it's better to do it that way. And to be honest with you, I haven't had experience with pricing in apps. And when you go online and you look for that kind of stuff, there's not a lot of solid, really strict, tried and true, proven ways. So I went with 99 cents because it pushes the free people out. Because if you have people downloading your app for free, you could have people who are very far from your target customer. And when you have people who are far from your target customer, they won't really get it, and they're more likely to talk badly about it or leave a negative review, which is bad. So it pushes them out of the market, and then it also kind of appeals to a aggregate market of, well, it's $1, I might as well buy it.
All right, question here in the middle.
On the client side, if the upside for your company is to make money as the app becomes more successful, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's the real upside.
But
How do
our
you-
safety net is the initial upfront cost.
Which is my question. How do you intend to pay developers to develop the type and quality of app that you espouse to be able to do with very little upfront payment from your clients?
Well, one of the huge things is commercial app sales, because we do see huge potential in the royalty concept paying off in maybe the distant or near future. I can kind of balance the commercial side and also the client side. So, yes, there are going to be times when we may take losses, and that's business. But other than that, it would be kind of a balancing act.
Okay, since we don't have another presenter, we have a little bit more time for questions if anybody has that. Otherwise, we'll ask our community question. There's one in the back over there.
Hi, so Ian here. I'm a huge fan of Portal, great game, and Portal 2, right?
Great.
Also, I'm trying to download your app here. It looks like I need to update my payment thing here before I can do that, but eventually I'm going to get it. Here's my question is, have you even considered or have you talked to a lawyer about trademark infringement? Because your Portal thing is a lot like their Portal thing, and you have Portal in your name. Their name is Portal. So I could see there's a lot of room for confusion there if I'm looking for Portal the app. I mean, I know that's what you're counting on, right? And I get that. But what if Portal comes and sues you? That's my question. Have you considered that? Have you talked to lawyers about that?
Yes, and I've talked to lawyers, and I've also talked to experienced game developers, people who have put things through the App Store and have been successful or not successful with it. At the beginning, it was a lot more similar. Through kind of a debugging process, there's been color changes, there's been name changes and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is we're taking an entire dimension away from it. The concept of a portal is not copyrighted or trademarked. It existed before the game, and it will exist probably 20 years from now when they invent a real portal gun. So that's not a huge issue. And also, what I've discovered is when Apple goes through their approval process, when they get their app, that kind of knowledge is consulted. So they would not really let another Angry Bird, something like that, go in. They kind of have that knowledge beforehand going into it, and since it is approved and on the App Store, we're good.
Okay. Question right over here.
Okay, hey, so, yes, this way. So, cool, I love that you're going after people who are familiar with Portal and Portal 2 and some of the other ones. How are you getting in front of those users? Are you going to forums? How are you tracking them? How are you marketing to them to get them to download your app?
That's actually the kind of biggest initiative going forward, is going and appealing to people who have played Portal and who are interested and who are junkies and who spend hours upon hours playing it in their mom's basement. And basically, going to, whether it be an Instagram page, a Facebook page, a Twitter, whatever, appealing to them, it's fairly easy. You just kind of, because they like games. They're interested in new games, and you kind of put it in front of them, and they may like it, they may buy it, they may buy, or they may not. But yeah, that's definitely something that I'm aggressively kind of going for in the next few weeks, in particular.
Question here in the back.
On the business side, have you thought about what would happen if you get your first client, they pay you $4,000 as the half, and it takes a full year to create that? Do you have the margin to be working on one app for that amount of time?
Well, after creating one app and just being surrounded by the environment for so long, I kind of have a gauge on how long things take. I mean, there's obviously been some setbacks, but I've been learning this entire way. And a lot of the stuff in this game is fairly complex, especially for a game. So I don't think I would find myself in a position where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm 2 years into this and it crashes every time I open it. Like, that probably wouldn't happen. But if I get in a situation like that, it's a learning experience. I mean, this is a startup, so I'm ready for high waves.
Question here in the front.
One follow-on, Forrest, to your answer about the copyright and some of that sort of thing. We recently had released an edition of our Trivia for Friends app, and so we were going to name it Arsenal Trivia for Friends, and Arsenal being a soccer football club over in the UK. And Apple wouldn't approve it, but they did let us change it to Trivia for Friends arsenal addition. So again, they kind of, Apple helps on that side to keep you,
Yeah.
from any copyrights. Plus, if you, and I think in the app world, if some team or franchise, their lawyers will contact you if you're violating something. And again, in the apps not being capital intensive, then that's okay. You move along to something else. So.
Okay, I think I know one of the answers to this question, which is there's a QR code in the back. But here's our final question for you. What can this community here do for you, for both Digerati and for Transportal?
Well, in the immediate future, there's QR codes in the back. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously download the app, tell your friends about it. But come up here, take pictures with the icon, tweet about it, use the hashtag Transportal app, stuff like that. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud. So, but beyond that, if you know anyone who's entrepreneurial and they may be in a startup phase and they are maybe needing an app or something like that, refer them to me. Talk to me after this. I have tons of business cards that I'm ready and loaded to hand out. So that, continue being y'all, because seriously, the organizers, the first generation organizers, Alex, Intuna, all y'all, members over the past year, which is how long I've been in 1 Million Cups, I have learned more from you all and your successes and your mistakes that I cannot put a price tag on. And beyond that, the people who are putting legislation in action in Tulsa, who are promoting entrepreneurs and that spirit, and people who are taking time out of their busy days to help people like us and do stuff like that. Just keep doing that, because there's plenty more people like me, there's plenty more people like you who need help, who need a hand up, and who need your knowledge. So just thank you for that, and then also keep doing that.
All right. Well, Forrest, thank you very much. All right. Before we go, we have some quick announcements. Hopefully, I know how to work this. All right. So if you want to get signed up to our newsletter, just send an email to tulsa@1millioncups.com. All right, and we are also looking for additional presenters like myself and the team around us. So if you're interested, send an email. Go to that link there and apply. We'd be more than happy to talk to you about that process. And passport presenters. So if you're in the audience and you've presented before, but you want to actually present in another 1 Million Cups location, we now have OKC kicking off. A quick plug. Alex and I will be going down there August 6th. So if you're in 5th. So if you're in Oklahoma City, come watch us kick off Oklahoma City. So they're following our footsteps here in Tulsa. All right, and The Forge, if you have your own idea, your own startup that you've been working on and you need space, contact Jessica at The Forge, Jessica Flint at tulsachamber.com. All right, and if you have any announcements that can affect the entrepreneurial community that everyone needs to know about, send an email to us there, and we'll be happy to talk about it here. And Men of Vision and Elite Women of Tulsa, they are having a business breakthrough August 14th through the 15th. All right, and Alex just added this, but this is for a pitch competition here. So August 19th, if you're interested in that, look there. All right, and OK Coders, they are having a mini session that kicks off Thursday, July 30th. So if you're interested in that, take a quick picture. All right, and OCAST, that event is going on August 12th. It'll be $35. I think we will open up, we'll have at least one presenter kick that off. Two presenters for 1 Million Cups kick that off, so we'll be there on that day. All right, and then the 1 in a million. So if you've presented here before and you actually want to present and compete for this competition, so if you've presented before, you'll actually go on a national stage and compete and go through that process, and the winner will have an opportunity to be in front of a lot of people and win $10,000. All right, and are we giving anything away or? All right, so if this is your first time, raise your hand. All right, so wow, we have several people here. I'm not sure how we picked this out. All right, I'm sorry, keep your hand up so they can see you. So if this is your first time, so we have one right there. Oh, yeah, who brought you?